Gemini, hello, Amanda here. Welcome to Unseen Hands Healing. This is going to be your small story reading here for February. So for those of you who are new to the channel, the small stories work like this. I choose a book off the shelf that seems to want to speak to you. We will read the passage that I turned to at random, and then from there, pull some cards and see if we can further illuminate the story and the message that's coming through. So for those of you who are not new to my channel, sorry these videos are a little late. I have been under the weather, but now I'm back. All right, Gemini. Today, Patti Smith wants to speak to you through her book, Just Kids. Okay. The passage I turn to is this. John's devotion to Robert's work spilled over to Robert himself. Robert accepted John's gifts and took advantage of opportunities that John opened up for him, but he was never interested in John as a romantic partner. John was sensitive, volatile, and physically fragile, qualities that would not attract Robert. He admired Maxim, who was strong, ambitious, and with impeccable pedigree. Perhaps he had been cavalier with John's feelings, for as time went on, he found himself entangled with a destructive romantic obsession. When Robert was away, John would visit me. He sometimes brought me presents like a tiny ring of twisted gold from Paris or a special translation of Verlaine or Mallarmé. We talked about the photography of Lewis Carroll and Julia Margaret Cameron, but what he really wanted to talk about was Robert. On the surface, John's sorrow could be attributed to unrequited love. But the more time I spent with him, the deeper consideration seemed to be John's inexplicable self-loathing. John couldn't have been more ebullient, curious, and loving, so I couldn't imagine why he suffered such a low opinion of himself. I did my best to console him, but could not offer him any solace. Robert's view of him would never go beyond friend and mentor. In Peter Pan, one of the lost boys is named John. Sometimes he seemed so to me. A pale and wispy Victorian boy, ever chasing after Pan's shadow. Gemini, the energy I'm reading, pick your place in the story. Obviously, it's going to resonate differently for everyone, but the energy I'm picking up on here, I think you are, the folks I'm picking up on are in line more with this energy of John, that it seems like the problem that you're having is always unrequited love, but really it's something deeper about your own sense of self-value and self-worth. Okay, let's go to cards. This is the El Goliath Shadow deck. I'm gonna give you a couple shuffles here. Okay, see if we can illuminate this story a bit further. Gemini, I'm gonna choose 3 cards. And one more. All right. All right, let's see what we've got. Okay, great. We've got the 5 of Wands, which in this deck is labeled the Jagged Union. We've got the Heedful Mouse, Caution. And we've got the 6 of Swords, into a brand new journey. Gorgeous, Gemini. Really, really gorgeous. So the Jagged Union. We've got the 5 of Wands. The 5 of Wands energy to me is really about like an internal, this is interesting that I just said, it seems like the problem is unrequited love. But really it's something more internal. And the 5 of Wands carries both energies for me. There is obviously this external jagged sort of spiny issue where these things are unable to, these plants that we're seeing here are unable to come into union because of this jagged quality. And that may be what feels like the unrequited love, Gemini, that you're looking at. It's like It's easy to blame the external circumstances on what's going on here, but I'm thinking it's something deeper. Like I want to sort of cut this plant open and look inside of it and see what's going on. Because to me, the Five of Wands speaks more often. It can speak of external conflict, you know, too many cooks in the kitchen, circumstances just being kind of chaotic and confusing and not quite fitting together. Everybody's got an opinion, but nobody's going anywhere. Okay, like unrequited love, like there's a lot of passion and a lot of feeling, Wands energy, but nothing really goes anywhere because of any number of excuses or reasons, right? And so, but the Five of Wands also translates to me as a reader as this sense of like internal, like an unsettled feeling internally. Because I often see it as like that feeling in the depths of your gut that can sometimes kind of feel like anxiety, where something's just not right. You know, like something's not settled in my gut. Something is kind of anxious or like churning in the gut. That's how I feel about the Five of Wands. So I think it's both. It's pointing us to this idea of, it seems like it's always the external circumstances that is the cause of this suffering, but perhaps it is actually something much deeper than that. And then we have the heedful mouse, who seems to be looking over at this jagged union, at this Five of Wands energy. I'm seeing, you know, this energy of the mouse that feels like they need to be very careful because of the snakes that have slithered around them in the past or are currently slithering around them. I'm seeing this pattern of being in like unrequited love situations or like jagged unions, whatever that means for you in your life. Because that's what the mouse is looking over here. And it's sort of like this cycle of attracting the same kind of unions, attracting the same kind of people, the same kind of romantic experiences over and over and over again. That's sort of the cycle that needs to be broken here. Because I think it's like, whoever I'm picking up on here, Gemini, it's like you're attracting the kinds of unions that turn you into this like heedful mouse character, that kind of turn you, and I'm not saying there's no reason for that caution. I think there is reason for caution. I think that's the problem. Because then you're constantly sort of like, is this relationship gonna hurt me? Is this relationship a good one for me? I'm not sure. Is this another of the same patterns repeating? Okay. And then there's this complete shift in direction that happens when the Six of Swords energy comes in. It's like, this is happening over here. This is the pattern. This is the experience. And then the Six of Swords goes, you know what? I'm moving on. I gotta take my eggs and get the heck out of here. And that could be literal for some of you. You know? I gotta take like what I want to do, which is like build a nest, and eggs can represent like fertility. Eggs can represent the things that you want to create or manifest or like build with a partner. I gotta take this and I gotta get out of Dodge, you know? If the mouse is heedful because of all the danger, it's like time to take the babies, time to take the sweet stuff, the stuff you're trying to build inside of you or with another person, and get out of the danger zone. Moving on from rough waters to calmer waters, moving on to a place that is not constantly experiencing tornadoes and flames and knives and storms. Because it's like, my baby's got to grow up in a more stable environment. The things I want to build with a partner needs to happen in a more stable environment. Okay. Swords rule the mental realm as well. So this is very much this may be an external process for you of like really seriously moving on into better territory. But if it is, it's also reflecting this internal process of like moving on mentally from this cycle. You could almost see this as the cyclone of relationships that you're flying away from here in the Six of Swords with the cyclones in the background. Okay? Gemini, very interesting. Okay, we're going to get you a portable fortitude card, this beautiful deck from Karina Dross. But before we do, I'll let you know that I'm going to take this reading into an extended, okay? The extended reading is going to dive deeper into this Five of Wands situation. What is this jagged union? We're going to also look at the caution, the heedful mouse. Why is there a need for caution here? Is there a need for caution? What's really going on with that? And then the Six of Swords. How do you move on to this brand new journey, taking a complete different direction when it comes to romance and thinking about romance, and how do you move on mentally and emotionally from these types of relationships, okay? So if you're interested in that, stick around. I'm going to put a little preview of that extended at the end of this reading so you can see if it's resonating with you. And if it is, the extended will be available for instant viewing on Vimeo. You just click the link in the description box below, take you right over there, and you can view that extended right quick. All right? Let's get you a portable fortitude to end this half of the reading, Gemini. Portable fortitude for Gemini, please. What's the bit of protection Gemini needs during this time? Okay. We got 2 flying on the floor and 1 lies on the table. So let's see what we are taking here. Certainly the one that's on the table. What have we got? Interesting. Protection from infestation. This feels like that Five of Wands energy to me, Gemini. This feels like that, like, external manifestation of something internal. You know, like what belief systems, what thought patterns, what beliefs about yourself are sort of creating this infestation in your mind, almost like colonizing your mind and keeping you in these situations where, like, you just can't win. Interesting. Let me see if the other 2 cards are for you here. Maybe. I'll show them to you. Protection from cynicism. And protection from loss of voice. Haha. There's a feeling I'm getting from this infestation card, protection from infestation. There's a sense of powerlessness that comes with, like, having bed bugs, for example. A sense of, like, this is somehow my fault, or, like, for some people, this is somehow a shameful thing that I have an infestation. It's somehow my fault, and yet I'm the victim of it at the same time. This is sort of what the energy that's coming through this. And the energy here is, like, not allowing that shame, or, like, whatever this internalized thing is that may be manifesting for you externally in some sort of way, that's creating this sort of, like, victim mentality when it comes to relationships. Like, why do I just keep attracting all these people? Why does this kind of relationship always happen to me? Why do the people I get into relationships with never want me? That kind of mentality. Don't let that fester, okay? Infestation. Don't let that breed and become this thing that infests your brain and turns you towards cynicism. And maybe even, as we read in the passage, turns towards such an extreme version of self-loathing, where you're constantly the lost boy chasing Pan's shadow. Interesting, interesting. Because you're being invited to totally change directions and go on a brand new journey here. And then there's something here about protection from loss of voice, needing to communicate your thoughts, your experiences, your feelings, being very direct with communication rather than clamming up and allowing others to determine what happens in a relationship, or what, there's this need to speak up for yourself and maybe even say, you know what, I'm going in a different direction. I'm getting out of here. Okay. Wow, Gemini. Wow, 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 wow. All right. I'm going to go into the extended and see where this goes. Maybe I'll see you over there in Vimeo. Regardless, Gemini, thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this reading, please do click that like button. Leave me a comment. Let me know how things are resonating with you. I'd love to hear from you. All right, Gemini, take care. I'll talk to you soon. Entering a commitment with your higher self by making, I think, a very strong choice here to move on, to make a transition away from this kind of energy. That solidifies your commitment with yourself, and it solidifies your need for commitment, for like a solid, actual relationship, partnership commitment with others, rather than engaging in relationships that are not going to offer you that kind of commitment, and therefore perpetuating this cycle of feeling unsatisfied in love. It's like, no, you can actually make a strong choice to say, this is my standard in relationships. This is my standard within myself.